Kakadosh, Boker Or, Masechet, Menahot, Daf Yomi, Daf Kaftet, Amud Aleph 29a1. You remember yesterday we were speaking about the number of the knobs, flowers, what was the other one called? The stems, correct? That's what it was?
The kaftorim,
Well, the kaftor is the knobs, right? The cups, right? So let's start. Yeah, it says as follows. We said Bishma Gviim, we said was going to be 22. V'nora Bar Gviim, Shosha Gviim, Fine Arba Dida. Tam Nesre de Kanim, we had the 18, right, of the Gviim in the 6, right, Kanim. So you're going to have 22. Kaftorim Nami, also the knobs, you're going to have 11 knobs. Tre Dida, which is going to be 2 in the middle one. Okay. And then you're going to have Shisha, right, of the Kanim. The Kaftor, how many knobs do you have? So the knobs, right, the Kaftor, he says, it's going to have 11. Right? So you come and he says, how do you have 11? You have the 7 of the on the top, right? The 7 kaftorim, right? And then you have the 4 on the throughout each. How do you call it? The joints? Each joints when they split up.
Well, no, one is not in the joint.
You're right. The bottom one is not on the joint. Yeah. You've got one on each joint, which are the 3, and then the bottom one. Right? The kaftor, he says, prachim, you're going to have tish'ah. Why do you have tish'ah? Because you're going to have the 7 and then the 2 bottom ones. Okay, prachim tredida. You see it? That's a picture tziur gimel. So if you look in the tziur gimel, which is the diagram C, right? The diagram C, you have the prachim. Diagram B, right? You're going to have the 11 kafturim. And diagram A, you have all of the giviim, all the cups. Okay, fine. So you come and he says, right? 1 second. So if right now you're going to have the prachim tredida v'shisha dekanim, so it's going to be 8. It's not going to be 9. So Amar Rav Nachman, ketiva direchah ad pirchah mikshahi. What does that mean? So the riba katuv, there's an extra perach. When's the extra perach? In the middle one, me'al raglei menorah, right above the raglei menorah. That's what you have on the bottom. You see? That's all the way in the bottom in the siur gimel. Okay.
Who decided where they go?
That's what the Gemara is saying. Yeah. So now says the Gemara as follows, right? Amar Rav Shalman. Sorry, we just did that one. So Amar Rav says, Govha shel menorah. How much is the height of the menorah? Tisha tfachim. It's going to be 9 tfachim, right? So 8 ve Rav Simi Barchia al Rav. Asked Rav Simi Barchia al Rav. Even haita lifnei menorah uba shalosh ma'alot. They had a stone right before the menorah, and it had 3 steps. Shalea Kohen omed umetiv et hanerot. That the Kohen used to go up, and then he used to do the tavat hanerot, right?
The size of a human being?
9 tfachim. 9 times 8.
The picture said 18.
Yeah.
It's not big.
No.
Picture of the Rambam.
Yeah. Yeah. 1 second. 1 second. We just started. So he says, Amalei, he comes and he says, Shimi, at kika amina misfata kanim ulmala. When you just came and you said that it's 9, you're talking about from the sfata kanim, right? Adishonim lemala, which means that there's going to be another 9. So now it makes sense. But that's what you just said. You said the picture of the Rambam. It's the Gemara. The Gemara says, when you came and you just said it's 9, that's from the Sfata Kanim. So therefore, really, Be'emet, from the Sfata Kanim downwards, there's going to be another 9. So it becomes 18. Okay? Until here we're clear? And that's what the Gemara in Kafchet Amud Bet actually said, that it's going to be 18. Okay? So says the Gemara, K'tiv it's written, Ve'aperach ve'anerot ve'amilkachayim zahavu michlot zahav. So it says the perach, the nerot, the milkachayim, everything is gold, right? So he says, what does that mean, michlot zahav now? So Amravami shekilato lechol zahav sagur. That it has to be mamash like a pure gold. I don't know how you would say it in English. Like, I don't know if there's like different levels in purity, right? That you would come and you would say it, but that's what it is. Zahav. Okay, but that's in the carrots already. Here it's like mamash. It's called the zav mezukak bioter. Yeah. So I don't know if you would come and say. Okay, now he says, Damar Rav Yudah Rav, Eser menorot asa Shlomo, but he says, Shlomo Melech made 10 menorot. Okay, so he says, V'chol achat v'achat tevila 1000 kikar zahav, v'chnisau 1000 pamim lakur. So imagine, in order to do that, they brought 1,000 kikar zahav, and they put it 1,000 times in the oven. V'midu al kikar. So that means from that 1,000 kikar zahav, they made 1 kikar. So it means it comes out that they had to bring 10,000 kikare zahav in order to make kol zahav right? So imagine what purity we're talking about. They had 10,000 like bricks of gold that concentrates to become into one. Imagine how many times, right, that it actually comes. Okay, yeah. So he says any. I don't understand.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, the tefillah is
any.
no, בברכת המזון.
Yeah. Any is it so? והכתיב it's written, וכל כלי משקה המלך שלמה זהב, וכל כלי בית יער הלבנון זהב סגור. אין כסף נחשב בימי שלמה למוה, which means money during the times of Shlomo Melech was nothing. He was so rich, he was so wealthy, right? That bichlal, it didn't even speak. You understand? It was like so says the Gemara, zahav sagur kamrinan. We're talking about davka zahav sagur, right? That means basically we're talking about regular zahav in a chanami, right? But it finished the zahav sagur, meaning the most, I don't know if nowadays you want to call it whatever it is, but basically the most precious gold, you're right, finished. But they had regular gold. The regular gold was just like mamash, just all the time. Okay? Gracias. Okay? So he says, Umi chaser kulehai. He says, what? Was the zahav mitmaetz? Does it mamash? You're going to put 1,000 bricks of zahav and now it's only going to become one? Fatani, we learned in a bright. Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Yehuda Omer, Maaseh v'ayita menorah bet hamikdash yetira shel Moshe b'dinar zahav kul kadanti. He says the menorah in the Bet Hamikdash had a mishkal a little bit more than Moshe with 1 dinar zahav. What does that mean here? Here it says the matbea hu matbea muskal b'chulin. Okay, this is called a dinar kordina. Okay, now it says over there that it's like the godel of a matbea called isari italki, which is basically 1/24 of a regular dinar. Okay, so he comes and he says, that it's going to be mamash v'chnisau shmonim pe'amim lekur. They put it 80 times in the kur, v'midu al kikar. So it comes out that really be'emet, that was a mishkal of the menorah of Moshe. So it comes out that even after they did it again 80 times, they still did, it doesn't minimize that much, right? So how could you come and you tell me that you did it 1,000 of them, and all of a sudden it becomes one? So answers the Gemara, you're right. Given the kai, which means once you have the mishkala zahav on one kikar, after they did it so many times, it's going to stay on that mishkal even after you do it another 80 times, right? That means basically once you get it already pure, right, you could do it another 80 times and it's still going to stay almost, more or less the exact same mishkal. Okay, so Amar Shmuel Bar Nachmani Amar Rabbi Yonatan. My dichtiv, what does it mean in the pasuk when it says ala menorah teorah? So it says shiardu maaseh mimakom tara, which means that it came down from the Shemaim. Because remember that it actually came down, right? Moshe Rabbeinu didn't know how to do it, so therefore they showed it, right? The menorah, right? It came down min Shemaim. So ela me'ata. So now we're going to ask one question. Al shulchan tahor. You're going to tell me the same thing. If you're going to tell me because it's the wording, al amenorah teorah, so therefore it came from tahora, which means it comes from the Shemaim. So you're going to tell me the same thing with the Shulchan. Shiardu ma'asav mimakom tahor. So ela, but rather tahor shemiklal shu tameh. When you say it's tahor, miklal, that it could have been that it was from tameh. What does that mean? Hachanami, so to here tehora miklal shehitmea, which means that it comes from, right, that it is going to become, that it could become tameh, which means when it comes and it tells you tahor, it's coming to teach you that it could become tameh. That's the pshat tahor. Tahor, if you have to say something is pure, mashma that it could become tameh. So the fact that it uses the expression pure, it's coming that it could become tameh. So the same thing, it could become tameh, even the menorah as well. So bishma hatam, I understand by the shulchan, כדרש לקיש, like רש לקיש. תאמר רש לקיש, but רש לקיש says, מה דכתיב על השולחן התור מכלל, שהוא טמא. כלי עץ העשוי לנחת הוא. It says the shulchan was a כלי עץ which was made to become קבוע, וכל כלי עץ העשוי לנחת אינו מקבל טומאה. He says, one second, anytime that you have a כלי עץ which is made to stay קבוע, it's not מקבל טומאה, אלא מלמד but teaches you שמגביהין אותו, that they used to pick it up לעולי רגלים, to show the עולי רגלים מראים להם לחם הפנים. ואומר להם, and he tells them, ראו חיבתכם, right לפני המקום. מהי חיבתכם? כתב רשום הלוי. תאמר רבי שום הלוי, נס גדול נעשה לחם הפנים, there was always a very, very big miracle by the לחם הפנים, סילוקו כסידורו. What does that mean? When they used to take down the bread, it was like that they used to be misaded the bread, which means they put the bread when it was 100% tari, warm, fresh. When they used to take it off the week later, the Shabbat later, it was the exact same way. Shneimar lasum lechem chom biyomi lakecho. That it's mamash, it's still cham. Mamash, I mean, just like the way that they put it like mamash from the oven straight to the shulchan. It stayed the exact same way. So therefore, right, it means that it was not kavua. One more time. The shulchan was made out of etz, and then usually they used to put the gold right on the outside. Now, if it's made out of etz, it's not going to be mekabel tuma. So, one second, why is it not mekabel tuma? Because it's sulinachat. Sulinachat means that it's kavua. So the Gemara says, obviously, you see from here that it's not kavua because they used to show it to the lulei raglim. So he says, "Elahacha," but rather to do the menorah, tehora mikla shitmia pshita. Obviously, it's klima techet. Uklima tocho mekabelin tuma, right? So meaning like this. The lechem apanim, it's a chidush. Why is it a chidush? Because really, Be'emet, I would have said that it's not mekabel tuma. Why is it not mekabel tuma? Because it's wood. But the menorah, obviously, it's going to be mekabel tuma. So says the Gemara. So the fact that it says tahor by, right? The fact that it says the, right? He comes and he says the fact that it says tahor by the menorah, it comes to teach you obviously that it came from Makom Taura. Tanya, we learned in the writer, we said we Omer. Aron shel esh v'shulchan shel esh v'menorah shel esh yardu min hashamayim. There were three things, right, that came from the Shamayim with esh. Aron shel esh, the shulchan, and the menorah, right? That they all came down, right? So he says, "V'ra'ah Moshe ve'asa kimotam." So Moshe Rabbeinu saw them, and then according to the way that he saw them, he made them shenemar ur'eh va'aseh. Right? What does that mean? Ur'eh, you're going to see, and then you're going to do. Which you're going to see in the mountain. Ela mi'ata. So we're going to ask a question. V'akemotat mishkan k'mishpato asher oret bahar. Hachanami, are you going to tell me that the entire Mishkan as well then? Because right now we only spoke about the kelim of the Mishkan, which is basically going to be again the Aron, Shulchan, and the Menorah. Now the same terminology was said about the entire Mishkan. So says the Gemara, Hacha over here, Ktiv Kemishpato. It's written only the Dinei Asiyato was said to Moshe, but Hatam Ktiv Betavnitam, the way that they look. So Amar Rav Chia Barabba Rav Yochanan Gavriel Chagur Kemin Piskayahaya. Do you know Gavriel? Right, he was wearing like a chagor, right? Veralo lo Moshe maaseh menorah. So he showed him the maaseh menorah. Dichtiv is the maaseh menorah. But chagor is like a chagura, is like a belt, right? He had a belt, like the umanim that they're doing their work. So he showed the Moshe Rabbeinu maaseh menorah, okay? V'zeh maaseh menorah. So ki'ilu that he was showing him that he was like a craftsman. How do you say? You know, like that's why he had the belt. He had everything. You know, like you always have the handymans. Now you don't have them anymore. Right, but you remember the handymans. You always know. How do you know a guy's a handyman? He always had the belt, and he had like 20 million things coming out, and you know, and like whatever he needs, all of a sudden he pulls it out, and he always has everything there. So that was the concept. Okay. So now he says, Tanad ve'Ishmael, shlosha dvarim hayu l'kashinu Moshe. There were three things which were difficult to Moshe Rabbeinu. Ad she'ala HaKadosh Baruch Hu be'etzba. And right until HaKadosh Baruch Hu came and he showed it to him be'etzbao. Ve'elu, and these are the three things: menorah, Rosh Chodesh, ve'shratzim. The menorah, right, which is basically going to be the menorah. The Rosh Chodesh, which means how big does the levana have to be? How big does the moon have to be in order to be kovea Rosh Chodesh? And the Shmoneh Shratzim, right, Tamim. Meaning there's so many different types of creepy crawlers. How do you know which one is the proper right of the proper ones of the creepy crawlers? So menorah, how do we know each one? Menorah, because it's written v'zeh ma'aseh menorah. So therefore, kilu heralo be'etzba. He has to show him with his finger to show him exactly what it is. So he showed it to him. Rosh Chodesh, tichtiv HaChodesh Hazeh Lachem, Rosh Chodashim. Yeah, so fine. It's going to be Rosh Chodashim. Right? Shratzim dichtiv v'zeh lachem hatameh. V'yesh omrim af ilchot shchita. So some people say that it's not only just these three, because when it says v'zeh lachem hatameh or v'zeh ma'aseh or v'zeh, so it's mashma this. So he's showing it to him, right? V'zeh ma'aseh menorah. Chodesh v'zeh lachem. Right? Okay, fine. But he says some people say even ilchot shchita. Why? Because it also says this thing. Shneimar v'zeh asher taseh lamizbeach. This is the way that you have to do it. So that means he had to show him, right, with his etzba, the ilchotei, the halachot, exactly how do you do shechita. Right? Okay, fine. So this is going to be, again, one more time, three things. Some people say four. The fourth thing is going to be Hilchot Shechita. Fine.
Which parasha for the menorah?
Which one?
When he brought the menorah down.
וזה מעשה מנורא במדבר ח' פעלותך. Okay? שתי פרשיות שבמזוזה מעכבות זו את זו. We're on the two dots where it says that if you remember, we said if you have the two parashiyot of the mezuzah, they're going to be מעכב each other. Right? ואפילו כתב אחד, and even one letter is going to be מעכב. So it says the Gemara Pshita, obviously. Right? What does that mean? Obviously, אות אחת is going to make it פסול. Some of you מרב לא ניצחה, אלא לקוצה של יוד. We're talking about even the kots, right? Which is the right leg of the ot yod, it's going to make it pasul. Okay, which means that you have the letter yod there, but you're just missing the kotza shel yod. Okay, fine. So he comes and he says, "V'hanami pshita." He says, "1 second, but that's also pshita. Why? If it's missing the kotza shel yod, it means that the yod is not there because it's ki'ilu that the ot is chatzet, right?" So, by the way, the next page you have the three-way machlokot. What is kotza shel yod? You have the next page. Look at the next page. You see kotza shel yod according to the Rosh is the top. According to Rabbeinu Tam, it's the bottom left, and according to Rashi, it's the bottom right. Everybody sees it? Yeah? Ella, but rather, he comes and he says, yeah, Ella, but rather, lechad idach de Rav Yehuda Marav, like the other of Rav Yehuda Marav, Dam Rav Yehuda Marav, kol ot she'en gavil mukaf la marbar chotea pesula. Anytime that you have a letter which is not going to be mukaf from the 4 different ruchot, so it's going to be pasul, right? Why is it going to be pasul? It's going to be pasul the entire mezuzah because you always need mukaf gvil. Mukaf gvil means you always need parchment surrounding the letter. You can never have a letter, right, that basically that it's cut off. That means basically the letter is here and then right here there's nothing there. You always need parchment. Like the parchment always has to be the one which is surrounding the actual letter. Okay, and if not, it's going to be pasul. So says the Gemara, right? Amar Rav Ashyan, Amar Ashyan bar Nadbach mishmed Rav Yehuda, right? So now we're going to see that means it comes out that even if the ktivat haot kilchata is still going to be makev the kashrut. So he says, Amar Ashyan bar Nadbach mishmed Rav Yehuda nikav tocho shel hey kasher yerecho pasul. If right now you have the middle part of the ot hey that has a hole, it's still going to be kosher. But if it's going to be yerecho, right, which is the yerech of the hay, it's going to be pasul. So Amar Bizera says to Bizera, what are we talking about now? They explained it to me. Rabbi Yaakov Amar ledidim mefashal min Rav Yehuda nikav tocho shel hay, right? If it's going to be that the nekev was in the regula smalit of the hay, so therefore you're still missing part of the klaf with part of the regel, it's still going to be kasher, right? It's still going to be kosher because you still have part of the leg of the hay. Okay, yerecho, right? If it's going to be the yerech, which is the right one, im nishtayer bo kashiurot ktana, it's going to be kosher. Only if you have like a letter of the yod, it's going to be kosher. Vim lav, and if not, it's going to be pasul. It's going to become pasul. Okay, here he says Dafka, we're talking about tefillin, right? Okay, but he comes and he says, yeah, yes, tefillin is also the same. You want to bring me that one over there.
Which one?
Put your hand, left, 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 left. No, that's right. Left. More, 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 more. Slow down. One more. One more. There, that one. What does it say there, by the way?
Okay, yeah.
No, there's tzitzit. No, sorry. Okay, fine. Yeah, no, I thought that we had the same one we don't have it. Okay, no, I was going to show you the ot hey. If you like a big letter hey, if you take Tzurat Otiyot, right? Everyone's okay here. Everybody sees this hey? Everyone look on your Kol HaShoneh Halachot B'chol Yom. Everyone look. There's an ot hey. So what he just said was, if it's going to be the left leg, the left leg.
Yeah, the you at the bottom.
Yeah, exactly. It's not really yod, but okay, fine. That left leg, even if it's going to be missing part of it, it's still going to be okay. Right? Why? That means basically you were missing part of it. It's still going to be okay. But on the right one, right, you need that it has to have the letter of the smallest letter on the right leg, the right leg.
Yeah.
And if you don't have like the smallest letter, which is going to be a yod, so it's going to be pasul. Okay. Fine. Amar Chamua de Rabbi Abba, says the father-in-law of Rabbi Abba. We're talking about father-in-laws, right? See, right? Kaftet Amubet, 29b. Ifsika le kara dehe deha'am. Yeah, what happens right now? He says if there was the tefillin where the regel yemanit, right, of the otei in the milah ha'am, where it says vayomer Moshe el ha'am, right, zachor et hayom hazeh, so he comes and he says, right, benikba, right, with the nekev. So basically there's a pasek, there's a nekev. So ata lekamed Rabbi Abba, they came in front of Rabbi Abba, and he told them, as long as it still has a yod, it's going to be kosher. V'im lav, and if not, it's going to be pasul. Okay, Ra'imi Bartamne, the Uchamua de Rami Bardikle. So he says Rami Bartamne, which is the father-in-law of Rami Bardikule. If Sikale Kara de Vav, the Vayaharog. Okay, meaning that in the Vayarog right, Vayarog Hashem Kol Bechor. So there the Vav was cut off. The Nikva with the Nekev. Right? So therefore the Chilek of the Elyon looked like a Yod. Right? You have a Vav, but if you cut off the bottom part because there's a pasek, right? There's a hole, so that means the top part looks like a Yod. Doesn't look like a Vav. So Atalek Meder Rizeh. Amarle Zilaiti Yinuka, bring a child. Telach Hakim Velatipesh, that he's not smart and he's not stupid. He's a Benoni. If he's going to come and he's going to read it, Yaharog, it's going to be kasher. V'ilav, and if not, yes, and if not, it's going to be written, it's going to be read like Yehareg, right? Which means Yareg who? Upasul. Remember. Yeah? Sometimes the child has to be that he only knows the letters. He doesn't know how to read words. You understand? Because if he's too big, that he already, so he's going to read it even without, even if it's not that, he's going to read it that way. You understand? Okay. So Amar of Yehuda, right? Amar Rav. Says of Yehuda ben Rav. B'shah she'ala Moshe Marom, when Moshe Rabbeinu came out to Har Sinai, Mitzvah Baruch Hu Yoshev v'koshek ketarim l'otiyot. He saw that he was writing, he was tying keters, crowns to the letters. Amar lefanav, so he told him, Ribono shel Olam, mi me'akev al yadecha? He says, what's stopping you from giving the Torah? Amar lo, he says, Adam echad yesh atid liyot besof kama dorot. There's a person that he was going to come in many generations, and his name is Akiva ben Yosef Shemo. His name is Akiva ben Yosef. And on every single crown, he's going to come and he's going to say a whole bunch of halachot. Amar lefanav, he says, show him to me. Amar lo, he comes and he says, Chazor leachorecha ur'eh, which means, right, go out and you're going to see. So he comes and he sees all of a sudden that he's in the Bet HaMidrash of Rabbi Akiva. Halach v'yashav bezo shmoneh shurot. He came and he sat down at the end of the 8 shurot of Talmidim. Right? Remember that they used to go according to shurot. That means according to the rows. Front row seats was the levels. You understand? Front row seats were always the levels. Yeah, lo haya yodea. That's why some people they sit all the way to the back. Goes according to the levels. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like on the plane, right? The front row seats it costs much more expensive. Yeah, lo haya yodea. Now Moshe Rabbeinu didn't understand what they were saying. So tashach shkocho. He was like all like weak, like he was like he was like he didn't understand. Yeah, he was completely lost. Kevan shegiya ledavar echad. All of a sudden it came to something. Ve'amru lo talmidav Rabbi minayin lecha. So they told him, Rabbi, how do you know this? Amar lahen halacha leMoshe miSinai. It says it's halacha leMoshe miSinai. So nityashva dato. Then he became calm. Meaning at the beginning he didn't even understand. Imagine what that is. That Moshe Rabbeinu did not understand the shiur. Right? This is Moshe Rabbeinu. He didn't understand. So he was all tashash kocho. He was like, what's going on over here? Like all of a sudden they went and they said, no. How do you know this, Rabbi? Alachal Moshe Sinai. You said Alachal Moshe Sinai. Now he's calm. He calmed down. Yeah, because
what he didn't understand. It was Moshe who was at the Sinai to learn.
Here he says, Moshe lo ikir et ofen alimud shel Rabbi Akiva talmidav. So he says, af al pi shanachat hayesod shel diyunehem hayu lemoshe Moshe Sinai, but the gisha, meaning the way that they went to it, he didn't understand. So that's what he says. He says over here that it's sichli chitzonim kedarkam adorot ha'achronim kol chidushay Torah shechitzur Rabbi Akiva talmidav. It was like even it was something like completely different basically. So he comes and he says like this. So Chazar, Balifnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So he comes back in front of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, ואמר לפניו, and he says, ריבונו של עולם, יש לך אדם כזה, ואתה נותן את התורה על ידי? He says, I don't understand. You have a Rabbi Akiva. Yeah, you have a Rabbi Akiva. You're going to come and you're going to give the Torah through me, instead of giving it through Rabbi Akiva? אמר לו, שתוק. כך עלה במחשבה לפניי. That's what came in front of me. Yeah?
You told him shtok?
Yeah, shtok.
Strong word.
Yeah, there you go.
Could have told him.
Here he says the reason why the Torah had to be given through Davka him and not Rabbi Akiva, and the reason why Rabbi Akiva had to die such a death was in the 50th of the Share Bina, which that was not given to Moshe Rabbeinu, and therefore that's why he didn't understand. He didn't understand such a thing. Okay? Now he comes and he says, Amar lefanav, he says, Ribono shel olam, hareitani torato, hareni scharo, show me a schar. Amar lo chazor lachorecha, turn around, v'chazar. Ma? Ra'ah sheshoklin et besaro b'makolin. They were taking his flesh, and they were selling it in the marketplace. Amar lefanav, Rabbi Akiva. Remember, they peeled off. Moshe saw the death of Rabbi Akiva because he only saw the Torah of Rabbi Akiva. Now show me his reward, and he showed him that. So he says, Ribono shel olam, zu Torah v'zo schora. Zu schara. He says, I don't know. This is the Torah, and this is the schar of learning the Torah. So Amar lo shtok. Kach alav b'machshava lefanai.
He must have shown it to him to justify why he's not going into it.
Yeah. No, it's a powerful thing. Look at the footnote. In the footnote, you've got a whole. This is like, you know how much. No, we don't know. It's the 50th Share Bina. The 50th Share Bina. We don't understand. We did speak about it once, if you remember. We spoke about it on Pia Kabbalah, that Asara Haruge Malchut was Keneged the 10 brothers, right? The 10 brothers, but it wasn't really 10 brothers. It was really 9. Why was it 9? Because Reuven was not there at the time. So who was the 10th? Hashem. Because they added Hashem to the equation. So Rabbi Akiva was instead of Hashem. And therefore, because of that, the Shvile Pinchas brings it down, I think, Al Pi Zohar Kadosh or whatever it is. Like it's a whole thing. So because of that, we spoke about it a little bit. We touched upon it just a little bit on Kippur. So because of that, they went and they said that Rabbi Akiva is Keneged the Shechina, which obviously makes sense. And now we understand why that had to happen. That basically, like this is a. So there's a whole thing there. They do bring down also the Chidah. They bring down that Rabbi Akiva passed away during the time of Ne'ilah of Kippur, and that's why we learn. Yeah, it wasn't Mamash Be'oto Zman. Some of them were, but not all of them. Yeah. No, so anyway, but it's a very incredible concept. Fine, Amarava. Yeah. Echa. מגילת איכה, תשעה באב. כל הכבוד. אמר רבא comes and he says, 7 אותיות צריכות 3 זיונים. There's going to be 7 letters that they need 3 tagim. Okay, so 7 letters that need 3 tagim. Each one of them, ve'elu hen, shatnez, gets. Right? So here it's shatnez, gets, guts, however you say, but basically it's shatnez. So the shin, ein, tet, nun, zain, gimel, tzadi. Okay? So he comes and he says like this. He says, you have the picture on the bottom, by the way. All the 3, the 3 things. Okay? So now he says, Amar Ravashi, Chazina lehu lesafre davkane de berav. So we saw in the Sifrei Torah, the Sofrim Daktekim of the Yeshivato of Rav, and I found out the chat lelegage de chet that they made, right, like a makel on the gag of the chet, right? So you have it over there. Talu lele kar'e de hey. So they were tole the regel smalit of the ot hey, that it's not touching it. Chatre lelegage de chet. Right now, why is it that they put a makel on the gag of the chet? Meaning on the top of the chet, you have like a stick. Why do you have a stick? Kilomar, yeah. Why? Kilomar chayhu berumo shel olam. The chet is that he's chay. Chet comes chay, right? It starts with letter chet. So chayhu berumo shel olam, which means it's just like a makel, right? He's on the upper world, right? V'talu lekare de hey. Now, why is the hay like on the bottom? Because the Mine Rabbi Yehuda Nesiam Yivirami Ma'idchti B'tchuv Hashem Adayad Ki Biyah Adonai Tzur Olamim. The entire kol tole bitchon HaKadosh Baruch Hu. If you're going to be tole your bitachon HaKadosh Baruch Hu, harelo machse ba'olam hazeh v'mba. So you're going to have. That's what it means. Bitchuv Adonai Adayad, which means if you have bitachon in HaKadosh Baruch Hu, so therefore you're going to be kibeyah. You're going to have bitachon in Hashem all the time because you're going to have Hashem tzur olamim, which is a machse va'oz. You're going to have a machse. You're going to have like a protection, right, for all olamim. Olamim is plural, so it's olam hazeh ve'olam abad. That's why you've got the hey. Okay, Now, what is that connection to the hay? Why dafka the hay? Kibiyah, because of the hay. The chet was chai. The hay.
The chet is like two zayin.
Yes. Well, it's machloket. Two zayins or a vav and a zayin. Or you also have the Rashi, which, by the way, you should know, Rashi, we do Rashi for the Gitin. For a get, we always do like Rashi. Some even Sifret Torah by the Morocco, by the way, also only did like Rashi. They didn't know, I don't know, by a get, I think it's brought down, I think in Ilchot Gitin, the reason why is was didn't want to make it like fancy, it was just like very, very simple. So they just did it like a straight line. So everybody does Gitin like that. That means the Chet, just like a straight line. But if I remember correctly, in Sifret Torah of Morocco, there were certain Sofrim that their Shita was like Rashi all the time. Meaning that if you look, they didn't do a Vav and a Zayin or a Vav. It was like a straight line. It was like a straight line, and a third straight line like that.
That's the chet.
That's a Chet. Look in Rashi. Look in
Rashi.
Yeah, look at Rashi. Rashi on the left side, you see the Chet? That's Rashi's Chet. Right? And then on the right side, that's the Tosafot, the this, the that. You're gonna have whether it's two Zayins or there's gonna be a Vav and a Zayin.
What is it? It's grandson.
Who? Yeah.
You know that I was at the grave of Hamilton.
Zechut.
זה הפעם אחת שייכנס לך לראש. אתה יודע, אתה מכיר את הילד שבא בינוני, זה אתה אפילו לא עושה... הספקת שם. זה...
Fine. Now he comes and he says like this. He says, I still didn't understand why it's dafka the hay. The chet I understood. I don't know why dafka the hay, but okay, fine. Next.
What? The chet, because there's two.
The chet is chai. The chet stands for chai.
Okay.
But what is the hay? Because of Hashem? Like Kibiyah Hashem Tzurani? Because of the Yud K? Okay, because of the Yud K. Okay. Yeah, okay. So Amalei, so he comes and he says, Ana hachi kakashale, Maishna dichtiv kibiyah velo ktiviyah. So he comes and he says, right? So Kederesh Rabbi Yehuda bar Ilai, Elul shnei olamot shakadosh Baruch Hu echad behei vechad biyod. Because of this, because of the hay and the yod. Remember that we have olam hazeh and olam haba. So he comes and he says, Eni yodei ma olam hazeh olam haba, kibiyah Hashem tzur olamim. So yod is the olam haba and the hay olam hazeh. Right? Ima olam hazeh biyod olam haba. Right? Keshu omer ele toledot hashemayim va'aretz behi baream. Beot hey baream. Behi baream. It's big. So why is it big? The be baream, right? So he comes and he says, "Altika be baream." Ela beot hey behei baream. So he came and he created the world with the hay. So this is this world. Have you omer olam hazeh nivra behei, va'olam haba nivra biyod. U'minma nivra olam hazeh behei. Nesh domeh lech sadra. It's like in a sadra. Shekol rotze latzet yetzeh. Anybody that wants to leave could go. The door is always open. They could always go. That's the hay because it's always open. You could go whenever you want. So why is it then that they had the bottom like the leg that it's hanging? Because if you want to do teshuvah, you have to come back up. So says the Gemara, so why don't you go through the same entrance? In the Ot Hey, you have two entrances. The bottom, right? The bottom, and then the one on the top left. So he says it's like an asadra, you could always go down. So therefore the guy could always leave. So at any time a person could leave. But when he wants to do teshuvah, he has to come back up. Right? And he goes through this entrance. So ask the Gemara, why don't you use the same entrance to go back up? It says. He says, no, lo mistay milta. It doesn't exist. Right? You won't have atzlacha. Meaning, when you have to be mitaher, right, you need an extra help to go above. You can't come back from the same exit to the Shakish. They help him in the Shemaim. They just open up the door. Meaning on the bottom, all you have to do is open up the door, the guy falls down. He's down. He's already there. But to bring him back up, they have to help you. Why do you have to help you? You have to bring you up, all the way up to the top left.
The bottom is there's gravity.
Exactly. You just fall down.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's the reason why? Itle taga. Why is it that the hay has a tag on the top? So look on the again. You're gonna have two different tags over there. You have Rabbeinu Tam and Rashi. Rashi says it's on the top left, and Rabbeinu Tam on the right. So he says, why does it have a tag? So Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu, im chozer bo, ani koshel lo keter. If he's going to do teshuvah, I'm going to make him a crown. Okay? Umipnei ma nivra olam haba biyod. So why the olam haba was created with the letter yod? Because there's very, very little tzadikim. Yeah, there's not that many tzaddikim. So therefore, there's a.
It's also the smallest letter of the.
It is, and it shows anava.
Yeah.
Yeah. Umiminem kafuf rosho. So why is it the rosh of the yod is kafuf? מפני שהצדיקים שבו כפוף ראשיהם. מבנה מעשיהן שאינם דומים זה לזה. Because each tzaddik has according to his ma'asim. So therefore they're all different. And because of that, they're all like kofefet rosho. They each, like out of anava and busha. So Amar of Yosef says of Yosef, Hane tartemile Amar of Bisfarim. There were two different things that he said in Ilchot Sefer Torah, V'tanya Tiyuvta, and we came and we had a Tiyuvta, Chada, Hada Amarav, Sefer Torah shesh bo tauyot bechol daf adaf, yitaken. If you have a Sefer Torah that has two tauyot in every single daf, yitaken. You're allowed to fix it. Shalosh, if it's going to have three, yiganez. You put it in geniza. V'tanya Tiyuvta, so we come and we ask the following question, Shalosh yitaken, arba yiganez. So he says, right? So what does that mean? So basically, we have a machloket. Is it going to be 3 or 4? Right? So he says, I still remember until today that we had a Sefer Torah. I don't even remember which one it was. That we found 3 mistakes, one after another. So I went and I told the person, I don't want to read from the Sefer Torah again until we get it checked. Right? I don't even remember which Sefer Torah was. Right? But, right? Now, why? Because it only makes sense. Right? Why? Because the second that you come and you have the mistakes, right? The 3, right? So he comes and he says, right? You have to see. So Tanya Imish, daf achat shlema, matzelet al kulo. He says, but if you have one full daf without any mistakes, so it's going to save the entire thing, right? So he comes and he says, right? So you just have to fix it and that's it. So Amarav Yitzchak bar Shmuel bar Marta mishmed derav vehu dichtiv rubia de sifa shapir. But that's only if the majority of the sefer is wrote correctly. So Amar le Abaye Rav Yosef says Abaye to Rav Yosef, it be'u daf shalosh tauyot maya. What happens if you have 3 mistakes in the same page? So Amar le hol v'tyav letukune. Once you already gave it to fix, so mitkan, so just fix it and that's it. Okay, and then if it's kilu daf echad shalem, then you're able to save it. V'hanemile chaserot. But that's only if it's going to be that it's lacking something. But if it's going to be something extra, so then okay, fine. Meaning if it's something extra, you just erase it and that's it. You understand? So that's fine. But if it's going to be that it's missing something, right? So then that's a problem. Chaserot, my tamalo. What's the reason for chaserot? No. So Amarav Kara Mishum the Michse Minumar, but then it looks like a minumar. Meaning the fact that you're coming and you're fixing these otiyot chaserot, it looks afterwards like that you're putting them in between the lines and everything. So it's like it looks like a leopard. Like you got a whole bunch of letters and everything all over the place. Like Iowa, it has to be proper. Okay, Agra Chamua de Rabbi Abba Vale Yitro Besifrei. V'ata lekemed Rabbi Abba Amalei. He comes and he says Lo Amaran Ela B'Chaserot. It's only going to be by Chaserot. By Yitirot Lelamba. But if it's going to be Yitirot, there's no problem. And then we're going to see later on, right, other halachot as well.
A beautiful page.